We are launching a special new series this morning. We're calling it The New Middle Age.
With people living longer, what defines middle age is certainly changing. Our friend Joan London is here. She's going to look into this all week. Joan, good morning. Good to have you here.
Nice to be back here. And you know, when it comes to middle age, we often think of the dreaded midlife crisis. But some experts say we throw that term around pretty loosely. And is midlife crisis even real or simply a myth?
The cultural script is once you hit midlife, you're over the hill. There's an expiration date.
At what age do you consider someone middle-aged? According to our new Today.com survey, 52% of you say 55 is the magic number. But it sure doesn't look like it used to be.
There's this antiquated mythic idea you're on the decline. Well, that's just simply not true.
So is the notion of the guy getting the flashy red car or having a fling to cope with getting older just a cliche? According to our survey asking, is midlife crisis real? 52% think the midlife crisis is real for some people, but not for everyone.
In over 80 countries, people have found this correlation between age and happiness.
Studies suggest midlife blues can be measured on what researchers call a U-curve of happiness. The low point dips in middle age, and then you become more satisfied as you age.
And that's what can happen at midlife. It's a stop and pause moment where you say, am I on the right track?
Karina Lowenthal found herself asking that very question and says she hit a wall.
In my 20s, I definitely was nonstop and kind of living the single life and stuff. And then in my 30s, I think you kind of just get so focused in working and the kids, and you don't really take the time for yourself, and things start getting behind. And then you just wake up one day and you're like, wow, like, what have I been doing? You know, you kind of wake up.
Does financial security affect whether you have a midlife crisis? 57% of our respondents say yes.
It often has to do with people feeling like they didn't meet the expectations they had for themselves in their lives, or that other people had for them.
Karina says a meaningful trip abroad made her grateful and helped put her life in perspective.
A lot of the stress and anxiety that I had built up inside of me, and maybe even some depression, just changed so much.
A new study suggests midlife blues can have a silver lining by stirring your curiosity and boosting your coping mechanisms.
I felt a lot more empowered and excited and just motivated. I feel alive now.
Oh, I love how you changed the face into...
But not everyone experiences the blues. 42-year-old mom of two, Tricia Hiowan, is unfazed by middle age.
When is that midlife crisis? I haven't experienced it.
And according to our survey, 75% of those over 40 have not experienced it at all. And some experts think the midlife crisis is a myth.
Do the data support its existence? Barely, if at all.
Dr. Susan Whitbourne says age is not the key. You can have a crisis at any age.
When it happens to you, it's bad. There's no question about it. But to call it a midlife crisis, I think, is a misnomer.
Dr. Robi Ludwig says women don't have to fear that their prime is in their past.
If you rebel against this idea that culture has that once you leave youth, you no longer have any value, that's not true, and to kind of own their power and their promise.
We've just been having a fascinating conversation as we watch that piece, because as people live longer and longer, the definition of midlife gets later and later.
Absolutely, and the worst thing people can do is hit 50 and think that they're over the hill, or elderly, or a senior, because then it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. In reality, most people are at their peak when they hit 50. So we just have to change the way everybody thinks.
Yeah. Personally, I was looking forward to a midlife crisis. But okay. I'm like, all right.
You're going to get your Ferrari?
Yes.